So basically, I'll probably pan this a little bit, maybe to the right a little bit. Probably turn my width down just a little bit because I kind of wanted to sit in the spot that I wanted to sit in. And turning my width down, hopefully it can kind of fold it in a little bit and make it a little bit more phasey, make it a little bit weird sounding. That'll help it stick out some in that mix. And then I'll kind of do the same thing on my main synth. Grab a utility, throw it on there, and I'm gonna widen this one. Like I say, because I'm trying to make room for my vocals and my drums and everything. When I'm mixing, I'm not thinking about how it sounds coming out of these speakers. I'm thinking about how it sounds in a place that we got 5,000 watts blaring in my face. That's how I mix. I'm thinking about how this is gonna sound when it's pushed to the maximum, even though I'm not gonna mix like that because I don't want to ruin my ears, but that's how I think about my mixing. So now we're gonna get on to my auto-tune crazy to death vocals. And I got a main part in here. My main part that goes throughout like halfway through the verse. And sorry, I printed these with the auto-tune on it because I didn't want to hear myself without auto-tune. So, and I did that on the fly, man. I just had basically like a little reverb with a decent little tail on it. Because there's really no point in me ever hearing myself without the vocal effects. So I got two of those going. I usually have one lower, and it's the same thing. I repeated it twice. And I tried to get it as close as possible. I didn't just copy and paste it because it'll phase out. So as you can hear, it's not phasey. Because I actually recorded it twice. Then I got a low section. So yeah, all those together, they don't sound too bad, but by themselves, it sounds horrible. High section. Then I got a left layer, a right layer. So it's basically like 8-9 parts I put together. And because I recorded these with the effects, let me bring all my layers down low. Since I recorded these with the effects, I'm not gonna do too much to the main. Just basically just give it some shine a little bit. So throw a little EQ8 on it. I love the EQ8 because it's any type of EQ you can think of is built into here. So let's put it to the hook part. Alright, cool. Let's get to my EQ8. And I'm trying to lift it up a little bit. So I'm only gonna use like what I'm doing now, it's not too technical. So let me say I may use 5 bands. I'm gonna use 5 bands. So my 5th band is gonna be a top shelf. Sorry. So I'm gonna push the shelf up a little bit, probably at like 11K or something like that. Maybe down further, maybe at like 5K. I'm gonna cut some low because I don't need that. Make it sit better with my synths and everything. Even though I do have a low one in there, it's not like I'm Barry White or something. And let me take this out of RTA mode so I won't be looking at my frequencies instead of just mixing. I usually cut somewhere around 3 something. That's just me doing my own vocal. I usually cut somewhere around like 330, 340. Make that cue a little bit more precise. And then I'm gonna use a boost around like 750 or something like that. Like I say, with these, this is just me just knowing like my voice, the frequencies that don't sound too good in my own vocal, but every vocal is different, but we all got around the same property. So if you up in the 700 to 900 range, there's always some good frequencies in there you can boost, you can highlight. So
We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright now. We gon' be alright now.
yeah, definitely gave it some breath. Gave it some air, basically.
Right now. Alright now. We gon' be alright now.
And then last on my vocals, even though it's a vocal bus, I always add some type of analog emulation plugin on here on my vocal buses. So let's go. One of my favorites is Plugin Alliance, the BX Master Desk. I use that on my overall beat, and I use it on like my vocal buses. And what I'm doing with this, I'm just trying to like add some tone and some realism. So even I'm gonna push it a little bit, but back it off.
We gon' be alright now. We gon' be alright now.
So I'm pushing it a little bit so I can get a little analog distortion, if you will. But I'm backing it off so it won't push. I'm not really trying to push the volume with it.
We gon' be alright now.
Add a little presence. And I like the fact that this thing has got a de-esser on it too. That's why I use it with vocals.
We gon' be alright now.
This one was made specifically for me, I feel, man. Because how many desk plugins, got a de-esser on it? Because it's vital when you're using vocals, though. Because I'm compressing, so that means I need some de-esser.
We gon' be alright now.
Push a little THD. That's kind of the point of it. I'm trying to add some. It's just one of those things. It's like almost hard to explain, but you feel it. That's basically what I'm doing with this BX Master Bus.
We gon' be alright now. We gon' be alright now.
So it sounds like you can hear the difference.
Right now. Alright now. We gon' be alright now.
Yeah, you definitely can hear the difference, man. That's like one of my little cheat codes when it comes to vocals. The old master taught me that, like, using these plugins, you gotta run them through something like analog emulation, either tape or like a bus compressor or something, to just give them some realism. And I added a low volume I always try to leave my buses at 0. So behind that, I'll put something like a utility maybe. I try to do all my volume control on my tracks or within the plugin themselves. But when I'm pushing like this one, it pushed up a little bit to me. So I'm going to use like a utility just to bring it down some. So yeah, boom. We get to the point where everything is sounding decent to me. All my synths, let's show you like what I would do for basically on my panning of my drums, because I wouldn't have them all blaring you in your face like that. My perk, just a weird percussion. It's got a weird little panning left to right thing going on it. So what sounds like that, it's hard for me to kind of pinpoint exactly what's making it stick out. So I just bring that down a little bit so that it's not too overbearing, but it's moving back and forth. So me panning it one way or the other will kind of take away from it. But my ride, I mix from drummer's perspective. Even though this is a ride, I don't care what side is on. I'm treating this ride like my hi-hat or whatever. So any like hi-hats I got in my beats, I usually like kind of pan a little bit to the left. It's just one of those things for me. Like I said, I mix from drummer's perspective, so I think hi-hat left, but even though this is not a hi-hat, this serves as like the driving factor in the beat. And it's up a little bit, so I'll bring it down. And my claps and my snare, I like how stiff that snare is, and I like how airy that clap is. So it's just like the push and pull of those two, in my opinion, helps the track out. So we're gonna bring the snare down a little bit. My drum, I'm hip hop producer. The drum is Michael Jackson, so I'm keeping my drum where it is. And I don't want to do too much when it comes to like trying to change up how any of this sounds, because I already kind of did a lot of shaping inside of my drum bus. So whatever I'm doing on the tracks themselves is going to change up my drum bus. So I'm not trying to do too much. I should have done that before I would put it into the drum bus. Now I'm going to totally change the beat, the drums at least. So lastly, my luck. Like I said, I'm just doing a little slight panning, slight little volume changing. And this joint, at this point, I would, when I'm really mixing, I wouldn't put anything on the master bus. But when I'm bouncing down to try to get the attention of an artist, I throw something on the master bus. So we'll go back to my BX master desk. And let's throw one on the master. And I'm doing it from a totally different perspective on my master bus. I'm not touching the de-esser. And I'm trying to basically giving it that last shape. So I might boost a little presence, might boost a little foundation, open up that stereo width a little bit. And that's kind of it. Everything else, I should have been doing it inside of my mix. I like my dynamic range is not pancaked, and it's banging, you know what I'm saying? So I probably put I like how it sounds. I'm gonna see how it sounds at 100. Yeah, it's like I'm creating too much air because it's compressing too much, so I'm gonna bring it back down to like 93, 91, because I don't want it to create all that air. And at that point, I would call it a day, man. Like, I think this one would be ready to jump in the library and give to a dope artist like a Sycosis for him to come up with a classic to it. That's basically what happened. This is my process. I start them off in the DAW sometimes, to the MPC, back to the DAW. That's how it works. So the MPC just, I'm able to lay things out and get it away from the computer, so it don't feel like I'm doing something technical. It feels like more just basically just me working, and then when I'm trying to get from point A to point Z, I go back to Ableton to complete it. So that's basically my workflow, my way of doing things. I try not to get too crazy with the plugins, to be honest, because like I say, it's not like we working in the 80s. Every sound that we use on a computer or inside a piece of hardware nowadays is going to be done by the best sound designers in the world. So I'm not going to do too much when it comes to the plugins. I'm just trying to make them fit better. So yeah, check it out. Like I say, Sycosis Music. You can check it out on my website too, VolcanoBeats.com. The name of the song is All Right Now. He came up with some dope lyrics about the current times going on, and I think it's a dope song you should check out. That's about it. Oh yeah, and these drums. Go check it out. Let the drums bang, man. That's volume 1. There's a little bit of nothing for you to have your drums banging like this. Come on, man. Holla at me. We out. Peace.